Free speech is kind of like a cactus. If you don't water it, it's gonna die. But if you water it too much, it's also gonna die. Does that make any sense? No? All right, let me explain. So 2 weeks ago, we tackled a pretty huge news item. The banning of Alex Jones and Infowars from YouTube, from Facebook, from Apple, and from Spotify. It was under the guise of violating the platform's hate speech rules, but really, it was probably more to do with this kind of thing.
The reason there's so many gay people now is because it's a chemical warfare operation. Satanic rituals, royal family. You've been given the green light to create a race riot film. What they're spraying and releasing would actually eat holes in the atmosphere. 1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms.
A lot of you weren't too happy about it, or our video for that matter. You said it was the death of free speech, that censorship was going too far, that Orwell's 1984 was alive and well on the internet. Yeah, yeah. Well, let's talk about that, because I kind of disagree. This is Buzz. Cue wardrobe change in 3, 2, 1. Hello, hello, welcome to another episode. We are here in the great outdoors because it's summer and very hot. A lot of people were very unhappy with the video that we made. It's actually our most disliked video ever. Let's see how bad things got. All right, let's go. You are one-sided tunnel vision bigot. Go fund yourself. You are blind. You are sad and pathetic trying to get famous off Alex Jones.
My eyes, the goggles do nothing.
Removing him just proves he's right. YouTube killed free speech. Death of free speech. Purge of free speech. Hashtag free Alex Jones. He's not in prison, guys. Alex Jones is not always right, but every conspiracy theory of his has always come to pass. YouTube is a fascist organization trying to oppress independent media. Garbage video. Thank you. This is a propaganda channel doing a little damage control. I think some people think that we work for YouTube. They banned him because he was saying the truth. There's a Trump 2020, guys. Yay! Woo! Personally, I'm going for Kanye in 2020, but let's not get into politics. Alex Jones is an American hero. This channel is garbage. Thank you very much. Subscribe and like. Who's this idiot? That would be me. Hi, my name is Mohamed. That was hurtful. Now who will convert the frogs? Let's head to the studio. I'm gonna do that right now. Ugh. Okay, first let's address the Alex Jones thing once and for all. Why do I have no sympathy for him? Because I think he's fake. While he often gets dismissed as a crackpot who loves yelling angrily while ripping his shirt off, as seen in Exhibit A, or interrogating inanimate objects.
Alexa, you are lying to me.
Beneath all of that seems to be something a little bit more sinister, because Jones has survived financially for so long for selling one thing: alternative medicine. And it's something that people like John Oliver have attacked him on before.
2/3 of his funding reportedly comes from selling his products. Super Male Vitality, Super Female Vitality, Wake Up America Patriot Blend Coffee, Lung Cleanse, Brain Force Plus.
Now, it's a little bit on the nose when you spend large chunks of your show raving about how the pharmaceutical industry is making you sick and scamming you into buying medicine, while also trying to hustle your super alpha male hormones on the side. Conspiracy? But there's a few other signs that he's not being totally 100 with us. Last year, in the midst of a pretty bitter divorce case, his now ex-wife claimed that Jones was a bad influence on their children because of his antics on camera, which he largely filmed at home. His defense fought back, saying, and get this, that Alex Jones was simply a performance artist. He was playing a character on screen, and that wasn't really who he was. There's more. In April, while defending the multiple defamation lawsuits that Alex was facing involving the Sandy Hook shooting victims and the dude Jones falsely accused of being the Parkland shooter, his attorney said that some of what Jones says on his show is opinion masquerading as fact, and that no reasonable person would expect that Jones spoke factually on his show. These aren't my opinions here. These are his own lawyers. All of this suggests that Alex Jones might be less of a lone crusader exposing conspiracy theories and more of a snake oil salesman, pushing highly controversial ideas to scare his audience into buying his stuff.
All he wants is a miracle, folks. How can I deny him? If he's willing to pay for it, he's gonna get it.
Even after the Facebook and YouTube ban, Jones used it as a golden opportunity to ask his supporters to send him money. And that's why when it comes to the topic of fake news, I don't think Alex Jones deserves our sympathy. If someone is spreading false information on purpose, and especially if that information ends up having a drastic effect on real people's lives, then absolutely they should be banned. Now, the topic of what constitutes free speech is a little more interesting. And it's something that a lot of people in New Zealand have been talking about recently. Yeah, this place. Wait, zoom in. A little more. There we go. A few weeks ago, two so-called warriors of free speech showed up to New Zealand on a speaking tour. These guys. They look pretty wholesome, right? Not so much. Basically, these two alt-right poster childs travel around the world to mostly white majority countries to warn them about the impacts of letting too many brown and Muslim people into their countries. And as a brown Muslim who grew up in New Zealand, that's some bullshit. People in New Zealand didn't take too kindly once they found out these guys were coming and called on the council in Auckland not to host them in a public venue. The mayor of Auckland agreed, saying that while these guys were free to say whatever they wanted, the council wasn't obliged to give them a free space to do it. So they found a private music venue, this one, to do their talk. And when people in Auckland found out, they decided to stage a protest outside the venue to send a message that these guys and their ideas weren't welcome. Eventually, the venue didn't like the negative media attention it was getting and decided to cancel the event last minute, prompting a debate across the country about whether or not free speech was under attack. The best response to that was what an MP from the Green Party, Chloe Swarbrick, had to say in Parliament.
The focus of this discussion, ultimately, I feel, has become one of pandering to the attention of the wounded feelings of those with pretty abhorrent views, where freedom of speech is being invoked as a shield to protect people from the real-world consequences of their aggressive views. Lost in this heated and overly simplified conversation are the voices of people who face colossal man-made barriers to participation in our democracy. Notably, these are the kinds of people who are actually also often ostracized and targeted by these self-styled, mislabeled fighters for freedom of speech.
And speaking of the Alex Joneses of the world,
you are able to have your opinion, but having your opinion does not entitle you to a platform. If a private venue declines to host you, they are not impinging on your freedom of speech. If people are coming together to sing Waiata and to hold heart-shaped balloons in Aotea Square, they are not impinging on your freedom of speech, particularly, I might add, if it's in response to your xenophobia, your racism, or your sexism.
Kia kaha, Chloe. Freedom of speech does not mean freedom from criticism. If you say something dumb, people have the right to respond, to boycott you, or to protest outside your events. That's also freedom of speech. More importantly, freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from repercussions. In fact, the more you exercise your right to say whatever you want, the more liable you become for what you say, especially when it has real consequences. Here's an example. The number of hate groups across the US has grown for the third consecutive year, topping more than 950 in all 50 states. The Southern Poverty Law Center says it has quite a lot to do with a certain somebody, and they're pending for stoking the flames of white supremacy and anti-immigrant xenophobia. Here's another example. Early this month, Britain's ex-foreign secretary and Donald Trump's stunt double, Boris Johnson, was apparently speaking out against Denmark's recent ban of the niqab, when he decided to instead attack the women who wear it, comparing them to bank robbers and postal boxes. Always the gentleman. A lot of people came to his defense. His defense. Not the Muslim women. His defense. Including Rowan Atkinson, who said that he didn't find the comments offensive and thought they were objectively funny. Oh, Mr. Bean, no. No. I liked you better when you didn't talk. But see, it doesn't matter whether he was offended by the comments, because they weren't about him. They didn't affect his life in any way. But here's whose lives it did affect. Talmama, the UK's Islamophobia watchdog, says there's been a spike in anti-Muslim attacks in the weeks following the comments. Several women have come forward to the media describing being verbally abused on the streets or feeling unsafe in their own neighborhoods. And when journalists went to ask Boris to respond, instead of apologizing for his comments and recognizing that what he said had an effect on an already marginalized group, he decided to go the other way.
For your comment.
Will you have a cup of tea?
Will you apologise for your comment?
Would you like a cup of tea?
Yeah, sure.
Go on, have a cup of tea.
Thank you, thank you. Do you regret?
Would you like a cup of tea?
If I have a cup of tea, will you answer my question?
No, I'm here solely on a humanitarian mission because you've been here all day, because I have nothing to say about this matter except offer you some tea.
Always a pillar of class and grace, Boris. Oh, hello, I'm Boris Johnson. Ho, ho, ho. Would you like some distraction tea? For years, I was the mayor of the brownest, most Muslim city in the entire country, and yet that has not affected my sensibilities in any way. People continue to like me for some reason. I am the literal embodiment of white privilege. Haha. What I'm trying to get at is this. Free speech is and should be a cornerstone cornerstone of any open and functioning society. It benefits everyone when we don't live in fear of being able to express ourselves openly, to speak truth to power, and to hold different opinions and beliefs, as long as it does not infringe on the rights and freedoms of other people. And part of that is ensuring as a society that those in power, those who hold massive platforms and have huge audiences, are respecting that and are held responsible. So while I do think it's our task as citizens of any society to be vigilant and ensure everyone in our society has access to freedom of speech and expression, those who abuse the system for monetary gain, to knowingly spread misinformation, but especially to cause harm or make life harder for other people, then you get no love from me. Do I think Alex Jones should get to say what he wants on his website? Sure. Do I think every platform is obliged to publish his content, even if it's false, even if it promotes race baiting and xenophobia, even if it scares people into buying his snake oil he peddles for personal gain? No, I don't. And we saw what happened last week. Even Twitter, the last platform that he was on, suspended his account for 7 days after he called on people to take arms in light of the ban. This is months after we saw a shooting happen at YouTube headquarters. I think this is a person that knows exactly what he's doing and knows exactly how to control his audience. Basically, let's make sure the cactus of free speech is taken care of, or it will die. But if we go so far to defend free speech even when it's indefensible, when it crosses lines and becomes damaging to parts of our society, undermines our access to information and gives a platform to those stoking our fears and anxieties for profit, then I think we might be drowning the cactus. But that's my 2 cents. What's yours?
There's an interesting comment.
Yeah.
Nothing but a strategy to bring him back stronger.
Wow. That's interesting. So what? So people think that this whole thing is a conspiracy to get Alex Jones more views
when he comes back.
When he comes back, and that YouTube's ban and this channel and the video that we made are all part of this conspiracy. That's wild, that's crazy. Like, I don't know, it could be true, I don't know. I don't know if it's not true.
Are you in on it?
I don't know if I'm in on it. Maybe I'm in on it and then I've been brainwashed. It's all those chemtrails, man.